Season 2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The first time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Parkville Network.
Well, all right.
Episode 64 of Season 2 of our It's Pat and JT podcast. The last 2 Mondays, I believe, that we have launched big podcasts on the Parkville Network. The last 2 Mondays.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yes, because we had Hollywood Raw.
Yes.
And that was a big one that they had. And that was huge. But I don't know if it even comes close
I guarantee it doesn't come close
to
to
what
the
we've
one.
got today.
What's
going down today.
Oddly enough, 87% of the people on Facebook already know what's going on because they are smart. They figured it out. But officially, Schick and Nick have launched a podcast.
Yeah.
Remember the show, the
Who?
Schick and Nick
What?
Show on the Zone. Schick and Nick are back. And Matt Schick is with us live from Quarantine Central.
Yes.
Hi, buddy.
Guys, how we holding up there? How we
Doing
feeling?
okay.
Yeah, right on the edge. I saw a video on Instagram last week of Kelly cutting your hair. We cut my son's hair too. That's always interesting to get a haircut on a deck, isn't it? Outside.
Yeah, we were outside and the wind was blowing, which is good.
Make sure it's blowing downstream. So you weren't.
you just you're
It's like peeing in the wind. You want to make sure.
exactly. The last thing you want is a haircut and a hairball. So, it was interesting. I kind of felt after she was done that she was intent on being Zorro. She left a mark.
She did.
She draw blood?
No blood, but it was more like, hey, I'm gonna be a creative landscaper here, like when you'd want to mow a design into your yard.
I
Wow.
think her caption was thank goodness he's not on TV for a while. I thought, this is going to be a disaster.
Yes, that's the one good thing about quarantine is that after her haircut, the back of my head did not need to be seen.
And honestly, we met with the last week actually met with a couple business guys come into the office, and in normal circumstances they're business owners and they're quarantining, but we socially distance. If Governor
cool.
Ricketts is listening,
It's all cool.
But I've seen more lightning rods, lightning bolts shaved in adult men's heads than ever. That I know would never do that.
No, and you remember John Carroll. John Carroll Experience we used to have on our show years ago. And John Carroll was on Survivor Marquesas, and he's a lawyer, he's a nurse, he's a member of society, professional, and he's been quarantining at their farm out in Gretna. Mm-hmm. And his partner Chad gave him a haircut. And they gave him what they call
He called it a homo hawk.
He called it a homo hawk. and his hair was probably a good 4 or 5 inches long
easily.
and standing up
Straight down the middle of his head.
And then they cut all the hair off except for the very front little tuft, like right in the middle,
Like a
of
little
his forehead.
peacock.
And he looked like a peacock.
It's just so funny.
I feel like there are a lot of people that are assuming this is going to go on for a while. But if someone announced, if the president announced, "Hey, everyone back to work tomorrow," there would be a lot of people going, "Oh no, I wasn't expecting this."
Oh no!
Oh no! They're gonna be buying that Chia Pet formula for their hair, and
Oh man!
And I needed a few days warning so I can get back in my pants.
exactly. Yeah, there needs to be a 2 or 3 week warning here for both men and women because of maybe some haircut or manicure shortcomings.
Yeah.
Right? And we thought people were asking for a slow rollout to keep the economy intact. It's not even about that. It's about appearances.
It's right.
Totally about
Give us a chance. Give us a chance to be ready.
This is something out of this quarantine where I think we've talked about this before, is that we're gonna realize that there's a lot of stuff that we complained about that we thought we needed that we don't, and we're gonna have a lot more respect for a lot of different people in society, specifically teachers. And I think people are going to have,
Salons.
Danny Woodhead said this the other day on their podcast, it's so true, more respect for people like your wife, stay-at-home moms that are just, because this is like nothing different for them. We're quarantining
except for the fact that you're in the way.
Except for Matt's home. Yeah.
That is true. That is a little snag. Yeah, it's people who are working from home who aren't used to being at home are at least getting paid.
Yeah.
You've got stay-at-home moms that are doing what they typically do, and like they typically do, they don't get paid for their services.
Yeah.
So it's I said that. I was in the car with Kelly the other day, the one time we left the house last week, and I said, I said, I hope, people talk about, hey, taking things for granted. I hope that people, just like, police officers, first responders, paramedics, hairstylists, everything that, garbage collectors. I hope they also raise the level of respect for stay-at-home moms. That there is
100%.
nothing easy about it, and it is taken for granted, and it is well underpaid.
How old are your kids, as a matter of fact?
They are.
Whoops, sorry. I should have sent you that note and let you know I was going to ask.
That's a great question. That's a great.
We can follow back up at the end of
Yeah,
we'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, could we? I was not anticipating that question about I need to do homework on my children.
I know.
They are
Roughly, ballpark.
Yeah.
This is really awful. They are 5, 6, 8, and 9.
Okay.
No, 7 and 9.
7. Okay, that's fine. It's good enough.
Yeah.
5 above, give it a shove.
They're 4 kids under 10. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
There you go.
You're good.
Now, is she homeschooling these guys as well? On the regular.
That's another great question.
Man, we just
Kelly's
caught you off
got-
guard on all these. Sorry.
Kelly's got a couple of great lines that she's picked up from others. Some she came up herself. One was, I don't know what these kids are learning with the core math, but they're about to learn how to carry the one.
I love that.
There was another one where it's hey, Mom, this isn't right. This isn't the way we do it. And the teacher says, which is the mom, yeah, I'm sorry. You have a crappy teacher now. And obviously
right.
it didn't use that word.
Right.
But,
Right.
so, yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is, things that should take you hope, this will take them an hour. They're done in 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you kind of panic. You're like, okay, what do we do with the other 4.5 hours of the day? So
Yeah.
The taxpayer babysitting is priceless.
Right?
Yeah, have they ever had a teacher that drinks before? I'm kidding.
They do now.
Oh my God. Right. All right. So let's talk about the whole reason why we're talking to you to begin with.
Yes.
There are so many people excited that you guys have
The
decided to
podcast.
bring back the
Oh.
Schick and Nick Show as a podcast. I mean, last week, all you did on your Facebook page was throw up just a heartbeat. And within 15 minutes, it was blowing up. They didn't even say what you're doing.
Yeah, that's all we did. And someone posted, hey, I checked the calendar. It's not April 1st. So there must be something happening here. And then you've got people quoting the show from 8 years ago.
Isn't
to
that
each other.
crazy?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like Nick and I were texting, like, I don't remember some of this stuff. Like the listeners have been communicating for the last 7 or 8 years in a secret language that only show listeners understood.
Yes.
And it's really incredible. And so when we posted the heartbeat, just to kind of show, hey, it's alive, and people are posting GIFs and having fun, and we're just dying, just watching.
I got chills throughout my body.
I got chills throughout my body. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, what's the day of the first podcast? October 4th, September 4th. All
Yeah, I saw a couple of those. Yeah, just fantastic.
And you see that, read it, and you go, it does make you feel excited again to do it, because unlike the first time when we actually launched the original radio show, this time we know what we're bringing to people, which is something that they appreciated. In the beginning, we were like, oh, we hope this show is good, and it caught fire. And over the few years we were on the air, now we know what we're bringing back, and we can't replicate it, but we can just bring laughter.
Oh, I don't know, man.
No, I think you'll be fine.
For the first episode, which is out now everywhere, you can search it, Schick and Nick Show, or go to schickandnick.com. Or Twitter, it's Schick and Nick Show, or what is it again on Twitter?
Schick Nick Show.
Schick Nick Show.
There's only so many things you can do with characters.
That's true. The first episode, and this I was telling you this before we started recording, but then I decided to save it. My wife admittedly doesn't know a lot about sports, like at all. So, but she listened to your first episode, And she goes, Pat, I haven't heard something that funny in a long time. She goes, I don't know what half the stuff they were talking about. But she goes, when they were the drops and Nick's different laughs, she goes, I can't wait to listen to this show. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't know a lot about sports, which is
Your
which
show's
is awesome.
not about sports, though.
Not really. It's a different angle. It's like 20% sports, the rest 8 making fun of.
Yeah, it's
everything
about
else.
as much of a sports show as ours was.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think we knew a little bit more, but you're right.
A little bit.
But yeah, no, yours was about sports when we came on the show.
There we go.
But
That was the 20%. Right there.
that was the 20%. Yeah, the so much of the show, the topic of the show is the show. And when you can do that, and you guys were able to pull that off as well, when you can do that and you have people that are listening that feel a part of something, not just checking in, listening to music or listening to a topic and checking out, but checking in and feeling like you're talking to family, friends, and only if you're a part of it can you understand it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Almost part of a club. And that's what the show was about, where, sometimes something funny or stupid would happen on the show, and then the rest of the show and the rest of that week was about that moment. And so you had to listen, because if you missed out, you might be out of the loop for the next. It's like an inside joke with friends. Like, oh, I wasn't there that day. Now I just have to nod my head and smile.
And nobody wants to be out of the loop on anything. Yeah.
Pretend I get it when you don't. So it's fun. And the fact that your wife, Pat, says that is good, because that first episode, and spoiler alert, the second one too, is a lot about what happened with the show and drops from the show and moments from the show. And that's what the podcast is going to be about. And so if someone who didn't normally listen to us 8 years ago can still find enjoyment with what we're doing now, then I think we'll be okay.
I got a kick out of the fact that people, the minute you post the heartbeat, they start Googling, they start looking, and they found the podcast.
Yeah.
There were some that found the podcast. It was like, holy smoke,
Yeah,
look what
found
I
it.
found. I found the podcast. That was
it's
awesome.
It's funny when you do that. You're like, okay, should we delete this stuff? Do we delete these links that they're posting to this thing?
Right.
Because we have this quote launch on Monday, and yet you look up on Friday and the spaceship is already on Mars.
Right.
I missed my boat.
I know. It's like when you're dealing with an animal like you guys, it's because not only people can Google stuff and find stuff, but your fans are so passionate about it, and they can't. I saw so many people tagged in posts to show their friends that you guys are back, and I know people out of state that are excited. I know it's primarily a Nebraska Huskers, Lincoln sort of very local show, but people that have moved from here, it's just gonna. I'm so excited and so proud that you guys just came to us and asked us to produce it. I mean, it's awesome, and we love doing it. It's so much fun.
I know. Yeah,
it's great to be back working with you guys again. Again, it's a free pod. It's the goal of this was the irony of it all is that it took social distancing to bring us together.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that weird?
Because that's what happened here, where we thought, we need something. People need something. We need to laugh again. What was a great source of laughter? We'd like to think our show brought a lot to a lot of people, and it brought it to us. Listeners weren't, if they were laughing, we were as well. If they thought something was funny, we obviously did, and vice versa. And so I've joked with Nick that just doing the podcast is a great excuse for he and I to just share laughs for an hour. And then if people like it, great.
Yeah.
So that's what this is all about, and trying to fill the void of, mundane.
Well,
the monotony of life that's been going on and might go on for another few months.
Yeah.
And like you said, this happened because of what's going on. And it's like always something that's been in the back of your minds. It'd be like, wouldn't it be great if we could? Wouldn't it be great if, and then this happened. And I've seen this happen to so many other businesses or other people. It's like this thing that was sitting there and they were thinking about. Now they either have to or they have the opportunity to. And it's like, let's do it.
Yeah. Or have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On top of it.
A lot of it is, how much work could we put into this? How much time could you dedicate to it when you're doing so many other things with your actual jobs? And now the fact that, we're at home, and I'm still doing some ESPN radio on Sundays, but outside of that, we're just kind of waiting to be put back in the game. And so let's let's get to work and let's try and do some stuff to brighten the days of people in Nebraska and those who listen to the show moved away. And
I'm excited to see your when I say demographics, I want to talk like too much in the box, but just see because like we can tell where people are that listen to our show, which is so cool because you didn't have that in radio. And so we can tell how many people are listening in Omaha, in Nebraska, in the United States, in every state, in other countries. And as a matter of fact, we were looking at ours the other day, and I can't wait to see how yours is. I think we've had listens in like 42 countries.
Wow.
And most of them are probably near bases, I'm thinking, because of Offutt and people moving. And we're reconnecting with some former listeners.
It's so much fun.
And we had every state in the country except for West Virginia.
Yeah, but they don't count anyway.
I don't know, whatever. Who cares?
But it really doesn't matter.
Fine,
I don't
whatever.
got that darn internet.
That's right. Ain't got no Podbean.
But yeah, it's...
Want to take a second to thank American Heart Association for being a supporter of our podcast.
Absolutely. Really proud to be working with them and passing along some good information. Would you recognize the most common signs of a stroke? They're important to know.
Just remember, FAST. Face, arms, speech, and time. FAST.
Exactly. If one side of their face droops when they smile, if they can't keep both arms raised in the air, or their speech is slurred or strange, or you see any of those signs, call 911 immediately.
When it comes to a stroke, every second counts. My grandfather had a stroke, and I realized that, and they got to him in time, and it helped.
It's all in this the simplest thing. Remember, FAST. Face, arms, speech, time.
Visit heart.org to learn more about how to prevent a stroke and recognizing the warning signs of a stroke.
It's what makes you feel a connection to home. These Zoom meetings that families are doing help them to feel connected. Podcasts, familiar sounds can help you feel connected, just like your favorite song can help you remember a time when you were with that special someone or what have you. And hopefully our theme song when we start the podcast makes you reflect on those things as well. But yeah, it's almost analogous to how Nebraska football fans are, where there's a reason when you go to games and you see, hey, Californians for Nebraska, Texans for Nebraska, people grow up there. A lot of them move away, but they still come back in some way, whether it's physically or whether it's downloading a podcast. And so you guys have found that out, and we'll probably find that out too.
Yes.
Yeah. And a couple things we need to cover while we're on here. First of all, we haven't talked about this at all off the air. We're not paying you for this, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if you were expecting anything.
This is true.
When you say free pod, it's not like nobody has to pay for it, and you're not getting paid for it, right? Just so you know, it's a free, literally a free podcast.
Totally free.
It is true. I'm working for free, and
okay, just making sure you knew that,
and
it's on record.
And this is why it's perfect, because if you don't like it, so what? You're not paying for it,
right?
Exactly. That's the tagline for the show, isn't it?
So you don't
Schick
like
and Nick. If you don't like it, you're not paying for it.
The Schick and Nick Show podcast. You get what you pay for.
That's right. And also, and a big thank you to ESPN. I mean,
absolutely,
for like giving you the green light to do to bring your guys' show back that was so popular here locally.
Yeah. I had gone to them a few times because we had talked about doing this a few times, and each time I went back, they're like, "Hey, we're good with local stuff, local podcasts. If you want to do it, the last thing any national corporation wants is you to compete with your own company. You're not going to launch, hey, I want to do this national podcast with these people in Omaha. No, it's this podcast is specifically for people in Nebraska, people in Omaha, people who listened to the show. It's a very niche market, but it's one that makes us feel very connected. And during this time, I think ESPN was more than happy to say, hey, go for it. Go do it. And so thanks to the talent office and everyone for signing off on that. And
that's cool.
Reconnected with Nick and you guys.
And to Fox too, because Fox gave him the green light to do it as well. So have a guy from Fox and a guy from ESPN doing a local.
Oh my God, cats and dogs living together.
I know.
What the hell?
Shrieking cats.
Right. That's when I would be editing Nick's podcast at home, and he gets in, specifically when him and Bo are together. Yeah. You'll hear my wife just howling in the back because she said it sounds like he's killing a cat.
Well, he jokes in the first episode of the podcast that when he was in college, roommates would never know when he was in the next room if he was laughing or if he was dying.
Right.
Like he could be shrieking for his life, being murdered, and no one would check on him because they think he's just having the time of his life.
Somebody's tickling Nick.
Yeah.
That should be the name of your tagline.
Somebody's tickling Nick. Well, I'm kind of curious with you guys too, is that because you guys with ESPN, you in particular, where's the green screen? Why aren't they having you broadcast from home like all these other shows are doing?
Well, they are doing that for some people, like on Get Up and some of the Sports Center where they have guests. I mean, they have so many analysts and folks that will do that from home. Like that's why it's Sports Center, and ESPN has now become Bookcase Central, where you get to see and compare ESPN personalities' bookcases. What do they have up there? What kind of photos do they have? So they are doing it, but it does take equipment and it does take money. It's not very few times is it about just loading up your phone and going. They got to have the right lighting. They got to have all this.
You got to give them credit for doing that, because there are some shows that are out there nationally that didn't quite invest, and their shows are sucking. It's really hard to watch them, and it's like, geez, can we please, if you're gonna do it, do it. Otherwise.
But I mean, really, because it's your job, obviously. You're in the sports broadcasting. So the void of not having sports right now, not just from you guys from a content standpoint, but just from everybody, man. Who knew that we all loved competition and watching it on TV and listening to people talk about it so much until it's gone?
The Michael Jordan documentary came out last night on Sunday, and the 10-part series, people are frothing, foaming at the mouth for something. And get this, it's something that they already know the result of the season that the documentary is about. They already know how great Michael Jordan was, but they want to see some behind the scenes stuff, that an archive footage that is, 20 years old, because we need something. We need something new. We're stuck watching old games, old rounds of the Masters, all these old events that we need something new. And that's another reason why, you throw up a new podcast. It's because people just want new things because they don't get live sporting events. So you might as well get a pre-recorded pod that's only 2 days old instead of 20 years old.
That's true. And something else too is for radio wise, it's really going to draw a line between the men and the boys to a degree, especially in sports. Because if you're just an X's and O's kind of guy, and that's you always say, did you see the game last night? And then you go into a breakdown, you're going to be suffering. It's going to be hard. You guys bring so much more, and it's lifestyle and it's behind the scenes. And like you said, that behind the scenes stuff, like with the documentary, which by the way, they moved that up quite a bit, didn't they? It was
supposed to be in June. And then people treated it like Starbucks and said, hey, can we get a side of Michael Jordan documentary? And so they ordered that up 2 months in advance.
Good for them. Good move. Good move.
And we needed it.
But it's hard in the same way, even entertainment wise. If you're somebody who relies on the doings of others to do your show and reporting on what's going on,
you're hurting.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Nick and I always felt our show would have been built for something like this, where you just have to create content and literally create it, whether it's a robot going in to ask Scott Frost a press conference question when it's a quarantine and only the robot is allowed in. We could do something like that.
I still think the robot should go down and talk to Bo Pelini still at LSU. I mean, I'm really thinking you need to have a drone. Yeah.
Send him down to it's a one-way ticket. He ain't coming back.
He ain't coming back.
But yeah, you're right about that. That it's you figure out which shows are reliant on callers and events and live sporting events, and which can carry themselves. I host a radio show on ESPN radio on Sunday mornings, which that'd be 9 to noon Central Time. And it reminds me a little bit of the show Nick and I did, because we could have one guest, we could have no guests, but my co-host and I, Myron and I, we can just laugh, have fun, rip on each other, joke, and you don't need you don't need to react to anything that happened. You can just generate content and conversations. And so that's what I think Schick and Nick could do and did and will do.
Yeah, for sure. So I have an idea though, because with no live sports or anything, we need to figure this out in the next month or so and get you and Nick together on like Twitch or on Facebook Live, playing a video game against each other. Like you're like Colorado 92 and he's Nebraska 95, and you guys have your headsets on and you're playing each other and we're live streaming it. We got to figure that out.
Bring back the old NCAA football game.
Tecmo Bowl.
10 years ago. Well, we could do it, before they canceled the NCAA football game for EA Sports. Like I think the last one, I don't know if it was 98, 99 or 2000, but load it up. He can be Nebraska. I'll be Colorado.
Yeah, just go at it.
And we'll see how it comes. We'll play it in Boulder. We'll see if,
I think we do one and one, home and home.
There you go. Let's
see
do
if
that.
Eric Crouch can withstand the pelting of debris.
Yeah, I love it.
Such bullies,
buddy. We're so proud of your your guys' podcast and happy that you're letting us do it with you. It's just awesome, and thank you for taking the time to talk about it and do it and keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Please download it. Give us the 5-star reviews, subscribe to it, and share it with everybody. We're looking forward to, we're just happy to be back on together and happy to be reconnecting with Nebraska and Omahans and beyond.
Right. SchickandNick.com.
Yeah.
Schick Nick Show on Twitter.
All the links are in the show notes.
Yeah, that's right. They're on the show notes.
Don't worry about it.
I'm going to screw it up.
Don't worry about it.
All right. Matt Schick. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
You guys, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. So thank you guys for listening to our podcast. Obviously, not as many listeners as the Schick and Nick Show will have.
We're hoping to change that.
We're getting there.
Want to be guests on their podcast.
We're going to jump on their back, right?
Someday.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. It's Pat and JT.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Parkville